Okay, so this is part two, people, of Angela's Cash's a very spontaneous connection with. You've been a subscriber for quite a while, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
amazing. I'm getting to meet subscribers that have stayed quiet for years but actually have a huge.
yeah.
It's so encouraging to me, the people that are standing up and coming forward. So this is Karen Jones, bravely coming forward, talking about a few years in her 20s when she worked as an escort in London and stumbled on things that she could not unsee in terms of children being tortured and raped, and evidence of same and unwillingness of Kensington and Chelsea police to even investigate with first-hand evidence. This is where I saw the evidence. This is the apartment. This is where the person works. Just willing to say, please, there are children, there's evidence of children being tortured and abused and raped, little boys, will you please investigate? And the police told her to mind her own business and hung up on her. So we're just going to do a part two, and I'm sure we'll talk again. And I appreciate your prayers for both of us against backlash and trolling and all that stuff. We both talked about Men in Black and intimidation, but I think the thing we both learned along the way is you can't live in fear. You can't live in fear. It's no way to live. It's not alive. So just on Exaro, when you talk about Darren, you're not talking about Carl Beach. Darren was a different one,
No,
Nick, wasn't
no,
he? So we
no.
had Exaro Nick and we had Exaro Darren. Is that the one you're talking about, Exaro
Yeah,
Darren?
Exara Darren. Now,
Who was that?
Darren, you know, he was obviously, he was a survivor. Um, when he was a young lad, I think maybe between 13 and 15, he was sent to this place, Thornham Magnum or
Just
Magna.
in Suffolk, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and I think it was an army cadet kind of thing, for wayward boys, shall we
Yep,
say.
yep.
He was totally discredited by Exaro. And I got quite close with him.
Are you
And when
in contact with him?
Yeah, no, I'm not in contact with him now. When my partner passed away, I just stopped contacting with anybody. I didn't have the headspace,
When
and
did you lose your partner?
2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago.
Oh my
It
God.
was April 2019.
Wow.
Which we'll talk about Darren in a while, but that brings me to how I met Sheila Button.
Shiva Burton,
Yeah,
aka Susan Melrose.
yeah. I was in a very dark place. I was, I was grieving, but I had to stay strong because I had to keep my home. There were people who were trying to take things from me. His family, my partner's family, were trying to take my home from me. People are vicious when there's a lot of money
Did we
involved.
exchange messages about that in that period of your life? I remember somebody sharing going through horrendous grief, and
Yeah,
at the same time as dealing with the grief, was having to fend off the family that was trying to completely.
we may have. I don't
I might
remember.
have. I think I don't know. Okay, anyway, carry on.
So, I'd finished with, I'd stopped being involved in listening to the YouTube things, and I came off Twitter and I cancelled my Facebook and everything, deleted Facebook. But I can't remember how, but somehow um, I was in touch with Shiva Burton. And I'm a bit angry about it right now, to be honest with you, because as time went on, there was something at the back of my mind: don't trust her, don't trust her. um you know and and I spoke to one of my brothers about it, and he said, Kaz, if your intuition is saying do not trust this woman, back off from her. So I did for a little while. There were a few things that, nothing really concrete, but I felt like I was being groomed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I really felt like I was being groomed. And one of the things that she said to me that really set alarm bells ringing, I was telling her, about me being an escort and how I got into it. And I briefly touched on the magazine that I found. She wasn't interested either. And then one day she rang me and she said, we can give talks and we can charge for it. And I thought, that isn't part of my plan, because I mean, about 6 months after my partner passed away, I did inherit, some money, not a great deal, but enough for me to get some training and for me to get some leaflets done. And I passed them around to all the massage parlors and the saunas and the sex clubs. Of course, the owners of those places don't want their girls to get counselling.
Wow. So you trained as a counsellor for people coming out of the sex industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was my plan. And I had no intentions of charging. Not many people contacted me because a lot of girls at that point, there was no lockdown. It was, everybody was working and they were making money and preoccupied. Since lockdown, Angela, the girls, young women, and there's a few young men that have been in touch with me. They've been locked down with their pimps, with their children, and they have no escape.
Yeah.
So, and the social services, all they want to do is take the children away.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing. Now, many years ago, I did work with the MASH ban in Manchester, and what they do is we used to drive around the red light areas in Manchester, handing out sharps, syringes, and condoms and lubrication and a bit of advice and that kind of thing. It was voluntary, so I got in touch with them. They have offices in Princess Street in Manchester. Okay. I got in touch with them and I said, this is what I'm doing. So, and it's a drop-in centre for girls that can call in have a cup of tea, a breather. And a few of the girls have got my leaflets from there. Of course, since lockdown, it's been closed.
Yeah.
But, a few of the people that work there are still, going around the red light areas because some girls aren't allowed to just stop working.
I know.
They're still out there. And there are saunas and massage parlors that are still in operation.
Yeah, and the police will turn a blind eye.
Yeah. The police are clients, Angela. Yeah. The police are clients.
So upset because I was raised with this reverence for the police.
Yeah.
The police and the Catholic Church were we were raised. If you're in trouble, find a policeman or find a priest or nun.
Yeah.
So it's still heartbreaking to me, and I think I know a few good coppers. But it's so devastating. Like in Ireland at the weekend, they did a whole, what I consider to be an FF. I'll just call it that because I don't want to get flagged.
Yeah.
But, it was supposed to be that an anti-lockdown protester threw a firework at the police, which then gave them permission to absolutely
dive in,
charge, and rubber bullets and the whole thing just kicked off big time. And yet proof came out within about 20 minutes that it was not. It was a agent provocateur, so it's just like it's so hard for people to come to terms with that. Yeah. But anyway, so Shiva Burton, you had intuition, stay away.
So something wasn't quite right. She was very softly spoken. She was
Are
very.
you aware she used to work as a prostitute? Did you?
She denies it.
Okay. All
But to me, she denied it. She said she never did.
right.
It's not my business what
No,
she
no,
did,
no, that's fine.
how she, how she. I
But
don't know.
Heather Brown said she did, and 2 or 3 people have said she did, and she had a child or children taken off her for being a working girl and having an alcohol problem. But
Yeah,
I wasn't there. I can't prove that.
yeah. Well, she did tell me that. She did tell me
Just
that
told she lost her children because of alcohol.
because of alcohol, yes, and apparently she left her 2 boys for a month with a neighbour and just went off and got drunk.
Wow. Wow.
And that was alarm. That gave me alarm bells. But then I thought, well, people cope differently. That she was, if she was an alcoholic, that's how. But and you will understand this. No matter what you go through, you look after your
I
children.
know. I know.
You look
Mm.
after your children. I have no children, so I can't really say.
I
But
fought like
people
a
like
tiger
you,
for my children. I fought like a tiger.
yes,
Got them taken. I
yeah,
got them
yeah,
back. I like
yeah,
every hanging
yeah,
on by my fingernails to my sanity.
yeah,
Like a mother tiger, you are not getting my children. You're not.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, as far as I'm aware, the 2 boys don't speak to her at all anymore. They're both, I think, in their 40s, maybe.
Wow.
Um, okay, so yeah, these things happen. People cope with, their abuse in different ways. For
And
for me and
she
you,
was also accused of stealing other people's abuse backstories fairly credibly. I had researchers look into her,
yeah,
and it was fairly credibly alleged that she had stolen somebody else's backstory, and it was kind of
yeah,
proven. So if she's
I,
a survivor, I've always said it's not my job to diss a survivor.
yeah,
Some go
yeah,
bad and they go
yeah, yeah,
over to the wrong
yeah,
side, and others spend a lifetime trying to recover. Others commit
yeah.
suicide or get lost in addiction or in jail.
That's
So
right.
if
Yeah.
she's a survivor, there's a part of me that says, I just wish you'd cross
Chris,
back over to the
yeah,
right side.
yeah.
But if she's not and she's a plant and she stole a backstory, that's just unforgivable.
It is.
She's caused me
Absolutely.
torture and torment for
Yeah.
5 years. She really has.
Yeah.
She blogged about me and boasted that she had 150,000 extra views on her blog when she started covering me. And she was pulling up all that Jimmy Savile stuff and pulling up disclosures I'd made when I was very naive
Yeah.
online and
Okay.
made disclosures about my family. She wrote letters to my community,
Yeah.
was obsessed with Ricky Dearman, trying to get
Oh.
brownie points for bringing me down. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
It was
It,
horrendous.
you were sport, I'm afraid.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
literally like game. It's literally like
Yeah.
the same as
Yeah.
being human hunted, which I only have one memory of, maybe two. But it's that same thing of you smell blood and you go after it.
And they all go after
And
it.
I
Yeah.
remember one messaging me saying, "You do realise this will never end. You do realise we're never going
Yeah.
to leave you
Yeah.
alone."
Well, I owe you an apology because at one point,
You believe?
I was told
Wow.
you were in this for money.
Oh,
Now, I've watched you for about 3 years. I'd never heard of you until 3 years ago.
right.
And I've watched you for 3 years, and I think she broadcasts from a shed in her garden.
She drives a 2008 Ford Focus.
She owns her own council tax. Well done.
Council house, military.
My council house. Yeah. Your boys stand by you
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I noticed that sometimes you fall out with your daughter. It's a
Yeah,
mother-daughter
she's
thing.
wounded.
What
She's
can I
wounded.
say?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm wounded. I didn't do perfectly.
no,
And
well,
I have a video that I have unlisted explaining some of the backstory with my daughter. Her birth father abused her.
You don't owe anybody an explanation, Angela.
I know. So I don't, but when I try and, because they targeted my children as well, which was
I know,
unforgivable, right?
I know. That was
And
unforgivable.
in order for me to defend the truth, I have to speak my children's business, and it's a very difficult. It's like I have no right, and I made that mistake in the early days, but I have no right to speak their business when they're in their 20s and 30s. So it was just horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah,
My daughter loves me. I love her. We
that is
fall
clear.
out, and then we come back together, and then
Yeah,
we fall out, and we come back together. It's
yeah. That, well, that's
But
family
she was
stick.
exposed to far more of the toxicity of, like, there's 5 documented generations in my family of either abusers or victims, from my grandfather down to my great nieces, and
Oh,
there's 5 documented generations, and my
oh,
daughter was more exposed to the toxic family because I was still in it. I was still thinking, well, I love them, and
yes.
this, that. My sons were more protected. They were
Yeah,
more, um, they were more like separate
yeah,
from, and
yeah,
it's stood them in good stead, because they're just like, if I start getting all emotional and like, oh, my family's not that bad, and it would be nice to be, back in contact, and they're
yeah,
like, Mom, they're like, what,
yeah. Yeah.
so they're all a gift. I adore my daughter, but she was
Of
abused
course.
in my care, and it took me 4 years to fully
Yeah,
get out of the family matrix and hear her.
yeah,
So anyway, sorry, Carrie. So for a
yeah.
while you thought I was in it for the money, because when they
Yeah.
started trolling me, I made a GoFundMe and I said my goal was 1 million. I was just like, when they trolled me, I'm like,
Wow.
you want to play? Come on, play. And then I put things in it like 10 grand inheritance I got from my sister, and a
I
10
know.
grand, a
The
10 grand
picture, the
picture.
painting.
And the donations were about 3 grand over 4 years. It's like, hello, hello. Nobody's making money here.
No,
So
no.
anyway, but thank
Well,
you
I
for,
noticed this.
yeah, thanks for
I've
acknowledging.
I've watched I've watched as as we've gone along. I even sometimes listen to your Bible studies.
Oh,
The one about the police, the early police was fascinating.
people should watch those Bible studies, because I
That
can't help spilling.
yeah.
It's like,
The
I want to do a Bible study, but let me just.
yeah. So yeah, so I got quite friendly with Shiva Burton, whatever her name is.
Was this around what year? 2017.
This is 2019, when just
Wow.
after my partner had passed away. It
I'm
was
so
like
sorry
within,
for your loss. I'm so sorry.
thank you,
How long were you with him?
25 years.
Oh.
It was awful. It was just
No, but
the
listen,
whole world.
I'm not trying to be positive, but you're so blessed to have come from a sort of broken background and
Yes.
find 25 years of stable love. That
Yes.
I can only dream of things like that. That's
Well,
amazing.
it wasn't a perfect
No,
relationship.
but
Not
it was,
none is.
yeah,
We had our moments,
yeah.
and but we were together.
Wow.
Um, and he gave me confidence to do things that I never thought I could ever do.
That's amazing.
Like start a business, get a website, do these things that I always work on the mash ban.
Oh,
I never thought that I would be able to do those things. I had no confidence before I met Steve,
wow.
my partner.
Yeah.
Um, and
Anyway,
and
so
he knew.
Shiva was in touch with you in 2019.
And just to say that my partner knew everything about me, because I made it
So
a
beautiful.
point that if I ever got involved with somebody, they are going to know everything,
Wow.
because I'm not going to live in fear of them
No, and how
finding
can
out.
you live a lie? How can you
Yeah,
pretend to love
I'm not
somebody?
going to make up a backstory.
Wow.
So yeah, it was about 6 weeks after. I have a very good friend who I've known since London. We've known each other for like 35 years, 30, more than 30 years. Her and her husband retired and they moved to Mauritius. So the communication became a bit difficult. I didn't speak to her as much. And then all of a sudden, this Shiva Burton is around me, you know, making comments under my YouTube comments, you know, and sort of, you know, saying, I understand, I get it. And I will tell you, I gave her my phone number. I was, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And now I go to bed early. I can't function unless I go to bed about 11 o'clock. Whether I sleep or not, I might just watch YouTube all night. But I go to bed and I relax. And that bedroom is my safe space.
Yeah.
Yes. And the phone downstairs was ringing. And I thought, oh, my God, what is it now? You know, what's happened? You're on high alert when
it's like somebody died. That's
yes,
you think,
you know, has something dreadful happened?
Yeah.
This is 6 weeks after my partner had passed away.
Oh.
So I goes herring down the stairs, answered the phone. It was Shiva Burton, drunk.
Oh God. Right.
And the reason she rang me was to admonish me for a comment I made about the New Zealand guy, Andy Devine's friend.
Oh, John Manoa.
John Manoa, that's it. I made a bitchy comment. I know it wasn't very nice what I said. And I said, God, why doesn't he get some teeth? Then we can understand what he's saying. She admonished me because she hasn't got teeth either.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I thought, I've got sharks, shysters swimming around me, wanting to take my home, take whatever tiny amount of money I've got, and sending me nasty letters. And this woman is moaning because I've said something about someone's lack of teeth. And I just said, are you kidding me? Are you for real? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So when I was in a really dark place, a bad place, I didn't have a great deal of support.
Was Steve much older than you? What
No, I'm older than him.
Why did he die so young?
Oh, he had a heart attack. He was very overweight.
Okay.
He's proper Manchester lad. He liked his pie and chips.
I was going to say pie and chips.
Yeah. And you know, he liked cake, biscuits, you know, so he was overweight. He had very, very high cholesterol.
Okay.
The Monday before he passed away, he rang me from work and he said, Kaz, I really don't feel well. So I said, drop what you're doing, come home.
Yeah.
And I made an emergency appointment at the doctor's that Monday. He went to the doctor's straight away.
Right.
I didn't know this, but the doctor said to him, I've made an appointment for you at the hospital. They're waiting for you.
Yeah, and he wouldn't
and
go.
He didn't go.
Oh.
He went back to work.
God.
He didn't even call home, and the doctor's is just down the road. And then I found him on the sofa.
Oh, so
he had type 2 diabetes, which hadn't been diagnosed.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of stress as well. You know, he was under a lot of pressure. His parents put him under a lot of pressure. He has a very wealthy brother who's a property developer, he's a multi-millionaire. He always lived in his shadow. His parents were always saying, why aren't you rich like him? And, you know, which is why we lived in North Manchester and they live in Cheshire. You know, and so he was under a lot of pressure. He was also a survivor.
Okay.
And
that's why he understood your background. That's why he accepted everything you come out.
Yes.
Wow.
He was a survivor. I'm not going to go into it, but you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and so then I got quite friendly with this woman. I am interested in, therapies like aromatherapy, meditation. I don't think I would have got through this last 2 years without being able to meditate and switch off for a little while. And she seemed interested, and she seemed to have a little bit of knowledge of
This is
oils.
Shiva. We're still
Yeah,
talking about Shiva. Okay.
yeah.
Right. I don't know why I even call her Shiva. That's the goddess of destruction. Her real
Well,
name is Sue. Sue
well,
Malkmus.
there is a Lord God Shiva,
Okay.
and the Lord God Shiva, he destroys things that need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Um,
That's
you
in
know,
the Buddhist. That's a Buddhist thing, is it?
it's an Indian
Vedic or
thing.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what she's made her name.
She's talked about being a witch. She's talked about
Yeah,
witchcraft and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Okay, that's another video.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do this again.
Yeah. And basically I was in a very vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
But don't forget, I'm still strong.
Yeah.
I'm still the kind of person who I'll always pick myself up.
Yeah.
I'll always get through whatever. I see things that are thrown at me as problems to be dealt with.
Okay.
And she underestimated me. She underestimated me. She told a lot of lies, because I have quite a good memory, and certain things didn't add up.
Yeah.
Certain situations that she said she'd been in didn't make sense.
Yeah, the backstory doesn't add up. I've looked at it a lot,
No,
and I've had researchers look at it
no,
forensically. There's holes everywhere.
exactly.
Yeah.
And as a survivor, unless you've been drugged, you remember every
You
detail.
frozen memories. Yeah, you just take a snapshot with the brain. Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
and you remember everything,
Yeah.
or 90%
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Um, and then the last time I spoke to her, she was telling me a story about how her son was taken, her youngest son was taken from her about 10 years ago. And she said he was taken to Manchester, left in the McDonald's while there were riots going on in 2010. Angela, I'm a Mancunian. There were no riots in 2010.
Yeah. My sister lived in. My social worker sister that died in mysterious circumstances. She had a house in Urmston.
Oh, not far from,
Yeah,
well,
and she
yeah,
worked for the child psychiatric department of the health board,
yeah,
and she had retrained. She was a senior social worker on the Isle of Wight in child protection, and
yeah,
she burned out. She always had too many cases,
yeah,
and it was a nightmare. So she retrained and moved to Manchester,
yeah,
bought a house, little house, nothing posh, but just bought a house there. But then she tried to whistleblow on the consultant, the psychiatric children's consultant with Greater Manchester Health Service. And from
wow,
she started whistleblowing, they just persecuted her. They absolutely tortured and tormented her.
oh, wow,
And she spent 2 years fighting because she had evidence. She had evidence, but they just kept trying to fire her and kept trying to give her black marks at work for nothing, and she was doing a brilliant job, and she had trade union support, and she had evidential support, but
yeah,
I think they colluded into her death.
yeah,
2 days before she died in mysterious circumstances of a non-identified poison, a letter came from them saying, "You're fired, you've had too much time off." She was having stress related time off work because she was being so bullied at work because she was trying to whistleblow on the head psychiatrist,
yeah,
head children's psychiatrist. And 2 days before she died came a letter: "We're sorry, you've breached your contract, you've had too much sick time off, and you didn't give your last 2 doctor's notes in, therefore you're terminated."
wow,
And then the one good thing her trade union rep did after her death was he got that reversed. He was like, how dare you? How dare you? And the thing that makes me sad is that after her death, my sister said, look, we found all Fiona's evidence on Manchester Health Service and this child psychiatrist consultant. Do you want to take that on? And somehow my sisters and I fell out, and the paperwork, God knows where it is. They didn't give
Oh
it
my
to me,
God.
and I couldn't prove it, but it was like, yeah, her trade union rep got the dismissal reversed, but nobody ever got brought to justice,
Oh
so
my God.
her house in Manchester was sold. She still had her house in the Isle of Wight. It's an absolute travesty, and I haven't got justice for her. It's just like,
No.
I was so grief stricken. I was like, she's dead. Why am I going to spend 15 years trying to get her justice? She's dead. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't get over that
Yeah.
grief. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
That's okay. So yeah, we had a few things in common, like I make my own oils. I grow herbs in the garden, not the other kind of herbs. I grow herbs in the garden and I make oils from them, and
Okay.
I use them, put them in an oil burner, that kind of thing. It's no big deal, nothing,
No, that's
nothing
all
special.
wonderful. I used to use them with horses.
Yes.
I used to
Yeah.
use essential oils with horses.
Yeah.
And there's an old trick, I'm going to confess up here. I had a show jumping pony that was really amazing, right? But he was just about an inch too big for the class that he was excelling in.
Yeah.
But somebody told me a trick. If you find the essential oil that harms the horse, they'll relax their back for measuring.
And they'll be lower.
I swear I got the horse measured in to the right class. I think it turned out to be sandalwood, right? This is a
Yes. Yeah.
horse whisperer's trick. And
Yeah.
I just would go over the mane and then
Yeah.
gently over the back, and
Yeah.
the pony just went, oh. And
Yeah.
then you could measure it, and he fitted in the class. He got sold for thousands and went off to Sweden as a show jumping pony. So I know the power of essential oils, I do.
Yeah. So we had a few things in common, chatted generally. But it was the 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls that that I thought, what? I don't do this.
No.
I go to bed. I don't answer the phone. I might put some meditation music on YouTube or something, or I'll do some yoga. And that's, me till 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so we had a few conversations, and then she would tell me these stories. And there were a few stories that she told me, and I thought, you can't know that unless you've been a working girl.
Yeah. I have heard from more than one source that she was a working girl.
And a few stories about, she was in this house somewhere in the West End. It was a rundown house. It was, maybe it was kind of, what was that area where the carnival used to be?
Notting Hill,
somewhere around there. And she was with this guy. The other rooms of the house were being used for working. She went past one room. She said, I was sneaking out. She said, I was, making me getaway. She said, and then I looked in one room and there was a girl sprawled out on the bed, and one of the guys, a black guy, why she mentioned his color, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he was injecting her with something. And I thought, that's a pimp's house.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a pimp's house. That is a house where, the old yardies, old Jamaican
working girls' house. Yeah.
The old Jamaican pimps used to get these houses together. Their girls would work in them, and well, I'm sure you can imagine the rest. And I thought, that's an old pimp's house. That.
Yeah. What were you there for?
And why were you there?
Yeah.
You know, there's no way you could have any kind of relationship with one of those men
Without knowing what was going on. Yeah.
without working.
You
Then
can't,
it's
yeah,
not
exactly. Yeah.
allowed.
Look,
Um,
I don't mean to interrupt, but I've got another Zoom at 3 o'clock.
okay,
So I absolutely
right.
want to carry this on. Can we do
Yeah,
this again next week?
of course,
I think
yes.
we've got loads to talk about. I'm really,
Yeah,
really glad I followed just my heart. It's just like,
yeah.
okay, let's talk.
Oh, yeah.
So,
All right then.
same
Well,
time, same place, 1 o'clock next Wednesday.
next Wednesday, yeah.
And I just want to thank you. I'm sorry to end it abruptly. It's just
No, I'm okay
I've
with
done
that.
two
Yeah.
hours and I could still talk to you. There's so much to cover.
There
So
is.
the next time we'll cover more about Exaro because
Yes.
I interacted with them. I wanted to tell
Did
them.
you?
Yeah, I phoned them about a children's home where I lived in Suffolk in Stonham Parva. It was called the Four Elms. And there were several suspicious deaths and finally ended with a double murder because a child from the children's home told her parents about all the abuse going on there, and the parents went and murdered the two people running the children's home.
Wow.
But they were also connected to Thornham Magna, Sir Harvey Proctor, the run to London where they put boys on trains in Suffolk and say somebody will meet you at King's Cross or Liverpool Street and they'll have a job for you and somewhere to stay and you can have a new life. Suffolk is so compromised, and Exaro wanted me to give them all the details, and for some reason, I don't know whether I pulled back or something, I don't know what it was, but they were like, oh, please send us everything you've got or we can arrange to talk to you, and it didn't feel right to me.
Okay.
And then the other part of Exaro, I sent them a photo. I sent them a few photos of people like Sir Kenneth Clarke and Leon Britton, and they were like, "Oh no, they've been debunked. They're photoshopped." I'm like, I don't think so, but it was just it didn't gel. So look, we'll talk more about Exaro next week.
So
I want to talk to you about Callie Diamond, huh?
I'm just go. Oh, I have.
Yeah, we need to cover Callie Diamond.
Yeah.
We need to cover a bit more on Hampstead. And SRA, we've done brilliant. I think we've done brilliant 2 hours work. Thank you so
Just
much.
leave you with a cliffhanger. The madam, Bridget,
Yeah.
very good friends with Harvey Proctor.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills. In a bad way. In a bad way. That man, the audacity and the arrogance of that man who's got away scot-free. And I just want to say to people, look for a book called The Vice of Kings.
Right, yeah.
The author is Jasun. I can't remember his second name, but he's an elite child who renounced his inheritance and ran away to Morocco and has disclosed in this book about paedophilia amongst the elites.
Check that out.
All right, talk to you next week. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
I'll put my slap on next week. God bless.
Bye.
All right, bye.